Namaste, welcome to Yoga with Jackie. Today I would like to introduce some yoga poses that are named after animals. So in the early days when people did yoga, they were very close to nature and they were looking at animals and they saw what they have in common, which is a lot of agility, flexibility, strength and awareness. And that's what we're looking at in yoga, what we're aiming for. So hence a lot of yoga postures have the names of animals. Let's get started. We're going to start in a posture named hare pose or rabbit pose. You are on your shins, straight back. We're just going to first inhale, stretching out our torso, and then bending the elbows and coming down on the exhalation. And on the inhalation, we're coming up again. A little flow in hare pose. Inhale deeply, exhale down. And the last time. Inhale deeply, lifting up through the sides of the torso. Exhale down. Coming up on all fours, separating the knees a little bit. Immediately we're going for another beautiful animal pose, which is called Vittilasana or cowboy pose. Inhaling deeply and exhaling, rounding the spine into cat pose. And we're going to do another flow. Inhaling, lifting the tailbone, cow pose. Exhaling, rounding the spine, tucking the belly button in, cat pose. One more time. Inhaling deeply, lifting the head up. Exhaling, rounding the spine, tucking the tailbone. And there we go. We sink back into our original posture, in the posture of the hare. From here we're going to do a posture, a sequence. It's called striking cobra. So we start with our hands separated and we're going to exhale deeply. And then starting our inhalation, coming up, hovering the nose and the mouth over the mat, coming up into cobra. Rounding the spine, pushing ourselves up again, exhaling and starting the inhalation again, hovering over the floor with nose and mouth, coming up into cobra, pushing yourself away, rounding the spine, hare pose. Last time. Inhaling, holding your breath for a second here, exhaling, pushing yourself up. Perfect. We're going to come down all the way on our belly. In a mini cobra pose here with the hands tucked underneath the shoulder. Okay. From this pose we're going to come up into a full cobra, but we're going to widen our hands, separating our hands, and then on the inhalation arching the back, lengthening the spine, and exhale. Forehead on the mat. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And then we're going to go for our next animal posture, which is snake pose. Bringing the arms alongside the body over the back, interlacing the fingers, and pushing or drawing the shoulder blades together on our back. And then we're just resting our hands there for a while, leaving our forehead on the mat, exhaling deeply. And on the next inhalation, only the upper body comes up and the hands are going to the ceiling. Exhale down. Inhale up. Push your pubic bone into the mat. Same with the tops of the feet. Last one. There we go. Exhale. Perfect. Okay, we're going to push ourselves up. Be careful for the lower back. And one more time, we're going to go into hare pose. A little bit different this time. We're coming up on the knees, bringing the crown of the head to the floor and holding our own ankles here. 3 breaths here, stretching out the upper body.
broadening the shoulder blades. And this time we push ourselves up on the inhalation on the knees. We're going for Ustrasana, which is camel pose. Inhale deeply, lifting the arms. Left arm is going to cartwheel along to the other side. Now you can lift, tuck the toes under, it gives you a little bit of a lift of the ankles, makes it easier to find the ankles. And then we're going to open the chest, dropping the head back if you can, pushing the hips forward, and breathe in deeply 3 times. Same way out of the posture, lifting the left arm, lifting the right arm. Inhale deeply, coming down. Okay, I'm just going to switch position on my mat here because we're going for a frog pose. We bring the knees really wide as is still comfortable, and you can choose. You can do a baby frog, which is where you have your toes touching, or the full frog, where your toes, your lower legs are parallel to the short end of the mat. Okay, now slowly we're going to bring the hands to center, leave the left hand there, and raising the right hand up to the ceiling. Inhale deeply to that side, and then exhale, weaving your hand through. Bring the shoulder and the right side of your face on the floor. Lifting the left hand this time, raising the left arm, bringing the arm over your back, finding your hip crease, and use that hand as a leverage to open the chest to the left. 3 breaths. On your inhalation, bring the left arm over the back again. Support yourself on that hand, and we're going to switch sides. This time the right hand will be placed in the middle. We raise the left arm up to the ceiling. Weave the left arm through on the exhalation, bringing the left shoulder and left side of the face on the floor. Right hand goes up and over the back, finding the hip crease on the left side. Using your hand here as leverage to open the chest to the right. 3 breaths. And then on the inhalation, bring your right hand back to center, push yourself up and close the knees, coming back into Vajrasana, Thunderbolt pose. Alright, we're going to scoot the hips to the side and we come down one more time on our belly. We're going to do a variation on Makarasana, which is crocodile pose. We interlace the fingers and we draw the left leg up, or the left knee as high as possible, and then we bring our left elbow to touch the left knee, lowering our head into the crease, elbow crease of the right elbow. It's just a relaxing pose in between a couple of more strenuous back bends that we've just done. 3 deep breaths. And we bring our legs together, shifting to the center with our hands, and we're going to go to the other side, drawing up the right leg this time as high as possible, touching your right knee with your right elbow, lowering the head onto the elbow crease, the left arm, and 3 deep breaths on this side in flappy fish pose. Supposedly it looks like a fish on land. And we move our right leg back to center and our torso to center, and we push ourselves up again for the next pose. Okay, let's move on to dolphin pose. So you can already separate the knees a little bit. Bring the arms, the lower arms, onto the mat in front of you. And just kind of, you have to kind of see how far away your elbow should be from your knees. But you can only find this out when you come up onto the knees. Tuck the toes under and lift the hips to the ceiling. This is dolphin pose. So if you are in a too close an angle, you just move your feet a little bit away from your elbows. 3 breaths. In dolphin, you can look either in between your knees, or if it's accessible for your neck, you can look up to your navel. And then on the next inhalation, we slowly lift the left elbow and the right elbow up, and we are in a downward facing dog, one of the most common animal postures in any type of yoga. Let's walk the dog. Left heel into the mat, right heel into the mat. And then we're going to lift the right leg up. This is the one-legged dog or the three-legged dog. We bend the right knee, and with one swift movement, we bring that right foot next to the outside of our right hand. Okay, slowly we lower the left knee onto the mat, top of the feet down, top of the foot down, and we're going to bring the right hand onto the right knee, spreading those fingers, spreading the fingers of the left hand as well, and slowly, without pushing too much, we're going to open the hips by pressing our hands slowly into our right knee. So in the end, you should be able to look at the sole of your own right foot. You can also spread the toes of the right foot here. This is called winged dragon. To complete the posture, you can look up on the right side to the ceiling, opening the chest to the right. 2 more breaths. Okay, slowly we draw the knee back to center, and we're going to lower ourselves onto our elbows here. This is the full dragon pose. They should call it drag pose. It's quite a hard one, so we're going to do 3 breaths here. And if you cannot make it down on your elbows, you just use a block or cushion so you'll be a little bit higher up. On the inhalation, we come back on our hands, tuck the toes of the left foot under, and sweep our right foot back into a downward facing dog. Okay, here we are back in downward facing dog. Let's walk the dog one more time for a few breaths before we raise the left leg up. Try to make one straight line from the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes on the left side. Bend the left knee, and then in one swift movement we bring that left foot forward next to, on the outside of our left hand. Bring the right knee down, top of the foot down, and we're lifting the left hand, bringing it on the left knee, and slowly, gently pressing the knee out. So you have this awkward hip opening here again. Looking up to the ceiling. 3 breaths. The next exhalation, slowly draw that knee in to center. And we're coming down onto the elbows. And again, if this is too much for you, just use whatever you have in your house, whether it be yoga blocks or bags of sugar. You can just be as high up as is accessible for you. Okay, on the inhalation, slowly come back. And we're going to bring the knees together. Coming down one more time in hare pose, a different version again. The crown of the head is close to the knees, round the spine, and we bring the arms over our back, clasping the elbows. And 3 deep breaths here. the next inhalation, we slowly come up. I'm going to change position one more time. So after this series of dirty dragons, we're going to go for the funniest posture of this sequence. It's called lion's breath pose. So we bring the knees about 40 centimeters apart. We touch, the toes keep touching, and we lower ourselves, our buttocks, onto the heels. Now we bring the arms in front of us, not too far in front of us, and we change the position of our wrists. So the wrists are facing to the front. And we're going to arch the spine, looking up at the ceiling. And also we're looking up to the imaginary point where normally our eyebrows would meet. So you look up a little bit cross-eyed. We're going to inhale through the nose and exhale with our mouth open wide. I said it was a funny posture. Trying to stick your tongue out as far as you can and try to even touch your chin with the tip of the tongue. We do 2 more and we're going to make a little bit more noise. Inhale deeply. And the last one. That's it. Slowly we come out of lion's breath posture, shaking the wrists out. And we move on to the next posture, scooting the hips to the side and bringing the legs to the front. You can shake the legs out here. We're going to scoot our hips to the side, bring our legs to the front, maybe shake them out first before we bring our legs into a posture called Baddha Konasana. Bound ankle pose, but in English we also call this a butterfly. So let's make the butterflies fly away. So you kind of flap your knees, slowly opening the hips. Now let's try not to round the spine, but open the chest, drawing the shoulder blades together, lengthening the neck. And keep breathing deep breaths. And then we're going to release our grip on our feet. Take our right foot into our hands, lifting up that leg as to inwardly rotate your right shoulder. Bring the shoulder underneath the knee crease. Place your hand back on the mat, the left hand on the outside of the left thigh, and we're going to shift the weight to the front, and maybe, if you can, hook your right toe under the left calf. This one is called elephant trunk pose. It's a toughie. It takes a little bit of stress on the wrists, so please do these flamenco movements just to ease up the wrists. And it also takes core muscles, so just give it a try. It's a fun pose. Let's first go back to Baddha Konasana. Let the butterfly fly away again. It's preparation. And then we release our grip, taking the left foot in our hand, trying to raise that leg up. The higher you get it on the shoulder or on the upper arm, the easier it will be. So inwardly rotate that left shoulder this time. Place the left hand onto the mat. Squeeze your leg firmly onto that arm or shoulder. Shift the weight to the front. And up we come into elephant trunk pose. Eka Hasta Bhujasana in Sanskrit. I love that posture. Okay, now we have that done. It's time to wind down onto our backs.
Okay.
Just a few more here. We can bring our legs back into Baddha Konasana here, lying down, pressing the lumbar zone, the lower back, into the mat, bringing the hands underneath the buttock, buttocks with the palms facing down. Press the elbows into the mat, and then slowly on the next inhalation we come up onto the elbows, drawing the shoulder blades up and pushing ourselves up into Matsyasana, fish pose. 3 breaths here. So your head is kind of hovering over the mat. It's very, very important to get out of this posture in a proper way, but first lifting the head and then slowly lowering yourself onto the mat. I'm going to hug in the knees here. And it's time for another animal posture, but a variation of the normal Bakasana, which is crane pose. We bring the arms up, and it's like we want to push the ceiling away from us. Then we bring the knees as close to the armpits as possible, trying to press the knees into the armpits and also press the knees together, where you still keep on pushing the ceiling away. So this is a supine version of the normal crane pose. And one more breath here. Keep pushing. And relax. Cross the ankles. Take one big toe in one hand, the other big toe in the other hand. And we're going to roll, rock and roll up until we're seated. Now we move into our final pose, Shavasana. You can use your bolster again. Have a nice variation on corpse pose, Shavasana. You can have your legs again in Baddha Konasana and slowly drape yourself over your bolster or your cushion and move into final relaxation. Palms facing up, relaxing the shoulder blades, relaxing the knees. While my yoga students behind me are in Shavasana, I would like to thank you once again for joining in with Yoga with Jackie and for doing all the animal postures with me. Of course, it's not just doing a whole series of animal postures, you make them in a sequence that respects your body. So you use the pose to get into your body and not vice versa. Thank you so much. Namaste. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay home.